this person feel connected in a way that is hard to explain, not by accident, not by coincidence. Psychology shows us that certain people enter your life because they are meant to. But before two people made for each other can truly come together, something has to happen first. And right now, it is already happening inside you. That pull you feel toward this person, the way your thoughts return to them without invitation, the way their presence feels both new and deeply familiar. That is not your imagination running wild. That is your nervous system recognizing something it has been quietly waiting for. Psychology tells us that deep emotional resonance between two people is not random. It is the result of two internal worlds that have been developing separately, quietly preparing to find each other at exactly the right moment. You feel this connection because it is real, and the depth of what you feel tells you something important, not just about this person, but about who you are and what you are finally becoming ready to receive. Something in you has been opening, something in you has been healing. And those two things, your opening and your healing, are not separate from this connection. They are part of it. But here is what no one tells you about connections like this. Two people can be made for each other and still not be ready for each other yet. And that word, yet, may be the most important word in your story right now. Think about where you are in this moment. Think about who you were 1 year ago, 2 years ago. Something has been quietly shifting inside you, without announcement, without ceremony. You have been letting go of things, old patterns, old ways of seeing yourself, old wounds you carried so long you stopped noticing their weight. That slow, private process of letting go is not weakness. Psychology shows us that it is one of the most profound forms of human strength. You cannot carry your past into a future that is asking you to arrive lighter. This is what needs to happen first, not a grand gesture, not a dramatic moment of revelation. What needs to happen first is the quiet, steady work of becoming the truest version of yourself, the version that no longer shrinks, no longer over-explains its own feelings, no longer confuses chaos for passion or emotional distance for depth. Because the person made for you is not looking for someone still carrying the full weight of who they used to be. And you are not looking for someone still fighting their own private battles in silence. Real connection, the kind that lasts, the kind that heals rather than hurts, requires two people who have done enough of their own inner work to actually receive love when it arrives, not to chase it, not to test it every moment out of fear, but to simply let it land. So many people rush this. They push through the space that is asking for patience. They interpret distance as rejection and slowness as indifference. But what psychology reveals about the most enduring relationships is that they are almost never the ones that rushed. They are the ones where both people arrived at the same place, not necessarily at the same point on a calendar, but at the same level of inner readiness, at the same depth of openness, at the same quiet willingness to be truly, fully seen. Right now, you may feel impatient. You may feel like this connection should already be what it is still becoming. You may wonder why something that feels so certain still feels slightly out of reach. That frustration is completely valid. It is real. But beneath the surface of that impatience is something much deeper, a knowing. A quiet, steady part of you that already understands this is not ending, that what is meant for you does not simply pass you by. There is something else that needs to happen first, and it may be the most important thing of all. You need to feel safe inside yourself before you can truly feel safe with another person. This is not a metaphor, this is neuroscience. Your nervous system must experience a foundation of self-acceptance, a settled, quiet knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are right now, before you can open fully to someone else without fear, without the need to monitor every small signal, and assign it meaning before it even has a chance to settle. When you are safe inside yourself, everything about this connection changes. The anxiety softens. The desperate need to control outcomes gives way to something calmer: presence. And presence is where real love actually lives, not in grand declarations, not in perfect timing, but in the quiet, ordinary moments where two people are simply with each other, without performance, without pretense, without the exhausting work of protecting a heart that has not yet learned it is allowed to rest. Psychology shows us that the relationships that feel most like home are the ones built between people who did this inner work, separately, privately, sometimes painfully, before they found each other. They do not complete each other in the way stories suggest. They recognize each other. They feel familiar not because they are alike on the surface, but because they have each touched the same depth inside themselves and come back changed, softer, more honest, more whole. Think for a moment about why this particular person feels different from the others. There have been people before who were available, who showed interest, who checked certain boxes, but something was always missing. Something in you knew even when you could not name it. That quiet refusal to settle for something that only looked like the real thing is not a flaw. It is evidence that you have always known what real feels like, even before you fully experienced it. Your awareness was never the problem. Your depth was never the problem. You were simply too honest, too alive inside to accept a counterfeit. What this connection is doing, even now, even in its unresolved, not yet defined state, is expanding you. It is asking you to sit with something real without demanding it resolve on your schedule. It is showing you that you can want something this much and still remain whole. That love, the quiet, certain kind, does not arrive to complete you. It arrives to find you already becoming complete. And then it stays. What you are being asked to do right now is trust this process. Trust that the space between you and this person is not emptiness. It is preparation. Something in the quiet logic of how two people truly find each other is arranging the conditions for this connection to become what it was always meant to be. Not another almost, not a temporary comfort, something real, something that does not ask you to shrink or perform or become less than everything you already are. Real things take time to arrive. Real things require you to become ready to receive them. That is not a punishment. That is the design. Here is what you deserve to hear, and what you may not have been told clearly enough or often enough. You deserve a love that does not ask you to make yourself smaller. You deserve to be chosen, not when it is convenient, not when there is no one else available, but chosen clearly, completely, without hesitation, because this person sees your full depth and does not flinch. Your worth is not in question. It never was. The times you felt unseen, the moments you were overlooked or set aside, those were never a reflection of your value. They were a reflection of someone else's limitations. You were never the problem. Loving deeply was never your mistake. Feeling everything this fully was never something that needed to be dimmed or apologized for to make someone else more comfortable. What is happening inside you right now? This waiting, this shifting, this slow and private becoming is not evidence that you are not enough. It is evidence that something in you is protecting what you are about to receive. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not running out of time. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, becoming exactly who you need to be for exactly what is already on its way toward you. And that is not wishful thinking. That is psychology. That is how the deepest human connections are made. If something in this video touched a place inside you that has been quietly waiting, hit that like button and join the Psychology Wisdom family. subscribe so the next insight finds you before you even knew you were searching for it. You are not alone in what you feel, and you deserve to keep being reminded of that again and again for as long as it takes.